Doing well. Welcome to the Game Week 35 deadline live stream. It feels like a bit of a while actually since I've done a live stream, so it's really good as always to be on one of these. And it's a Friday deadline as well. If you are tuning into this right now and you didn't know that it was a deadline this evening, then you have been saved, thankfully, because a reminder, it is a 6:30 p.m. UK time deadline. So do make sure you're not missing out that one. It's about just over an hour and a half until the deadline, so there's loads of time to get your transfers locked in, decide exactly what you want to do, and hopefully on this live stream I can answer some of those important questions and try and resolve some of the issues out there. So it'd be great to see who's tuning in. Get yourselves in the chat, let me know what you're doing this evening, what you're doing on this bank holiday weekend. Hopefully the weather stays delightful, and of course importantly, what are you doing with your fantasy teams? That is the most important thing. I haven't made a transfer yet, but I will be doing it on stream because I am 99% sure I know what I'm doing. We also got to lock in captaincy. Got to get that sorted because it really does feel like one of those game weeks where almost, I think it's going to be quite a dull game week. We don't have Southampton or Leicester to attack because they play against one another. So I don't think the fixtures look great. So captaincy could make or break a lot of game weeks out there. So we're going to go through that in a bit more detail. And importantly, just answer you guys' questions. So get yourselves in the chat. And as I said, I will make a transfer live on the stream. We could get some early Man City team news. That's a possibility. They've been pretty consistent this season. Of course, they kick off at 8 p.m. tonight. Deadline at 6:30. I would like to think we're going to get something regarding a Foden or a Savinho. The ones that we actually care about are Kevin De Bruyne. So fingers crossed we do get that. And for myself, being a Savinho owner, I am in a position right now where I'm thinking I kind of want him to be benched. Because in my head, I've convinced myself that I'm not starting him. But if he does start, it kind of throws a curveball out there. So we will touch on that later. So I can see Reese in the chat. Hope you're doing well, Reese. Jord saying, when should I use my free hit and bench boost with Jord? Ugh. Double game week 36, blank game week 37 is basically out of the window, which is really disappointing. Now, it's worth noting, Villa are still appealing the Spurs proposal because of the Europa League final, and we're expecting Spurs now get to the final. There is a chance that if they don't move the Villa game versus Spurs, they will play that 3 days apart from that Europa League final, which is not ideal preparation at all. So basically, if that game doesn't get moved, target Spurs, because Aston Villa are going to have a field day against what basically will be their under-21 squad. So in terms of when you got to use your stuff, like in terms of using your free hit, you don't really have a double to chase. I kind of like the idea of maybe going for a game week 38 free hit, because if we bring up some of the fixtures right now, and when we are doing a free hit, look, game week 35 just isn't the game week to do it at all because you got no teams playing Southampton or Leicester. But if I was looking at game week 38, what kind of free hit team could I build? If we were to assume, maybe, that Arsenal are going to be knocked out of the Champions League straight away. Arsenal away against Southampton, fantastic. You could triple up on Bournemouth at home against Leicester. Wouldn't really touch Spurs because of the Europa League final. You could get a bit of West Ham away against Ipswich. Man City have got a tricky game. Man United have got a tricky game. So 38 is probably the way I'll go. Try and finish the season strong on a free hit. In terms of bench boost, that is all down to your own team because all teams look different. My advice would be going to check out a planning app like FPL.team. Put in your team ID, flick through the next 4 weeks. And if there's a week where your squad just sits perfectly, that should be the week for you then to bench boost. Because importantly, that is when you want all 15 players to have good fixtures, ideally. Ben, hope you're doing well, mate. Captaincy choice, we'll talk about that in a minute, but I really do think it is up for grabs between 4 or 5 players. It's going to be Mo Salah, Isak, Marmoush, Bowen, and Mbeumo. Those are the real ones that are standing out this game week. Taylor's asking, which one, Saka to Mbeumo or roll? So I love Saka to Mbeumo. Saka, Sarr to Mbeumo, Bowen for a -4. Don't love that for a -4, no. And who do I bench? Raya, Martinez, Vardial, Kivior, Wan-Bissaka, Konsa, Munoz. Oh, God. Okay, so I would play, personally, 1 Arsenal, 1 Aston Villa in your situation. So I probably would go for Raya and Konsa. Therefore, I'd bench Kivior, and I probably would bench maybe Wan-Bissaka. Then in terms of your midfielders, I probably would play all of them bar Sarr, and then I'll play your front three. That's probably what I'll do right there. John saying, should I go Saka to Bowen, KDB or Rodgers? For me, if I was selling Saka, I would be quite tempted by Jarrod Bowen. When we look at the fixtures coming up for West Ham, they are right at the top there. They got Spurs in between Europa League first and second leg. Fantastic, because Spurs are decimated with injuries. Bergvall out for the season, Solanke out injured, Maddison out injured, and their focus is going to be completely on that Europa League second leg. That isn't completely confirmed yet, them getting to the final. Then after that, they got Man United a few days after the Europa League second leg. Fantastic. Then they got Forest at home, who are really indifferent right now. And then they finish the season away against Ipswich. The problem with Jarrod Bowen is not him, it's West Ham as a team. But I would flip that argument and say to yourself that if West Ham are going to score goals, Bowen's going to be involved in it because he is absolutely the talisman and the heartbeat of that team. So the only good thing really about Bowen is that if he does something, he's going to pick up everything in that team because he basically is the only one who is able to bring the quality right now. Scott's dropped a super chat. Scott, massively appreciated as always, my friend. Thank you so much for tuning in and for the super chat. So generous throughout the season, to be honest, mate. So thank you. Thanks for your advice on top 25k. I have won my work league as I have a 300-point lead. Congratulations, mate. And again, yes, you may have picked up a few tips, things from the live stream. But at the end of the day, mate, you're the man doing the good stuff with your team. So don't be, basically what I'm trying to say is you're the guy making the decisions, so congrats to you. And winning mini leagues is always just a bit of pride, isn't it? You can always just have that, you can walk through the work with your head held high, knowing you're the big dog in the league. And I'm 139 points ahead of my friend league. Do I do Mateta to Watkins? Woof. Okay. So, Watkins is absolutely one of the best differentials in the game, hands down. When we take a look at the Aston Villa fixtures, you can see him just here. So, just to give you a heads up, the lovely graphics that I've put in, absolutely not. You are not here for the graphics, let's be real, because look how crap that is. I've just had to type it on a text box. So, I've put here what I deem to be teams with motivation and teams that we definitely could buy from. So, Man City, they have got top 5 still to chase, but a little bit of a problem is, of course, the FA Cup final. Forest chasing top 5, which is great. Spurs are a downside because they got Europa League. Arsenal, problem. They got Champions League. Man United, problem. They got Europa League. The good thing about Aston Villa is that they're chasing top 5, which is great. Now, the fixtures coming up. Fulham at home, I wouldn't say is great, but could I envisage 2 goals scored by Villa? Absolutely. Then they got Bournemouth away, who aren't necessarily watertight, and they're not in the best run of form, so I think that's good. Then they got Spurs at home in game week 37. I think that's great. And what the big thing is that in game week 37, this is the fixture that Spurs are trying to change. Okay. If they do not change that, that is going to be the biggest win of Villa's season, because Spurs are just going to play an under-21s team because there's a few days around the game week, the Europa League final. So they have nothing to play for in the league, and Villa have everything to play for. So Watkins is going to be a popular transfer in game week 37. For myself, looking at Newcastle here, they finish the season with Arsenal away and Everton at home. I can see a lot of people doing Alexander Isak to Watkins. Now, yes, they finished the season away against Man United, but again, Europa League final for Man United? Like, what is the turnaround for that? Let me just check. Europa League final. So the Europa League final date is the 21st of May. Man United fixtures. So the 21st of May is the Europa League final, and the game Aston Villa Man United is 4 days later. If they win that Europa League final, that Aston Villa game is going to be incredible for Aston Villa assets. So I think, personally, Aston Villa are one of the best buys between now and the end of the season. I really do believe that, because they have everything to play for right now, and they're playing up against Fulham, who are good, but meh. Bournemouth, I think, is okay, and they finish a season against potentially two of the Europa League final teams who are going to have nothing to play for in the league. So everybody's going to be buying in game week 37 Aston Villa players. Unfortunately, I'm tripled up on them already, so Watkins is going to be very difficult. So yes, mate, I do like the move Mateta to Watkins. Would I force it this week? Probably not. I don't think it's a desperate move. John's saying, should I do Saka to Bowen? Okay, I've covered that one. Damien, hope you're doing well, mate. I brought in Beto. My team is well-rounded already. Hopefully that pays off, mate. In terms of the Everton fixtures, they are fantastic. Beto, though, guaranteed game time. I would need to check his minutes. That is the only concern I'd have about Beto. Captain in Mbeumo or KDB, it'll be Brian in Mbeumo. 100% in that team. And while people are dropping in their questions, let me get the first poll of the stream up. Who is your game week 35 captain? Is it going to be Mbeumo? Is it going to be Marmoush? Because those are currently the big standout ones. Oh, goodness. I'm going to have to cancel that poll a minute because I just clicked post and didn't even finish it. Who is your game week 35 captain? Mbeumo? Isak? Sorry, guys. I'm just typing out a poll a minute. Isak, Marmoush? Or I'm going to put Salah because I think Bowen's a great differential. But if you are going Bowen, can you just let me know in the chat? I think he's a great differential, but West Ham are a very difficult team to predict right now. So I'll be super interested to know what your captain is looking like. So while we're going through that, let me just get up my team for you guys to show you where I'm at. So hopefully you guys can see that, but I got a little bit of a worry that those on the old mobile device might struggle to see this. So can you just let me know in the chat if that is zoomed in enough? And if it isn't, get glasses. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Of course I'm joking. I will zoom it in a bit more for you old boys. Okay, so let's take a look at this right now. Cool. Everyone's saying they can see. Happy days, happy days, happy days. So this is how my team's looking as of right now. And I feel like right now I'm in a position where my team is pretty damn boring. I'm going to be honest with you, which is a little bit of a it's a little bit of a problem for me because I'm not chasing rank. I'm 42k right now, and I'm looking to be a little bit template, which is not incredible. But I think being boring this week makes sense. And what I'm trying to say is that Saka to Mbeumo is just the move that everybody's doing right now. Like, it is just what everyone's going for. If I just get up some kind of like fixture numbers in a minute for you, I'm going to take a look at what is going on in terms of the transfers out for Bukayo Saka to Brian Mbeumo directly. But if we were to look at it right now, there's 500,000 transfers in for Mbeumo and there's 300,000 transfers in out for Saka. Like, you don't really have to do the maths here. Basically, all those Saka sales are going to either Mbeumo or Bowen, and most are going to Brian Mbeumo. It is just the go-to move. And unfortunately, this game week, because the fixtures are a little bit stale, because the moves are quite template, it does feel quite like a bit of a boring week. But unfortunately, you do just get these weeks sometimes, and I imagine you guys are probably feeling a little bit the same, where a lot of people are talking about the same stuff and the moves are seeming very template. But sometimes the template move is template for a reason, and it is just the right move. So that's my team right now. Raya between the sticks, I'm locked in because I don't feel... Whoa, actually, I haven't even changed my team. Hang on a second. I didn't save my team. Ignore everything I just said. So, I haven't locked in my team because I decided that I wanted to go for Arsenal and Villa coverage Forgive me. So, the reason why I'm going for Arsenal and Villa coverage as opposed to Raya and Kivior is just because Bournemouth are a good team offensively. Arsenal are completely invested in this Champions League tie. I mean, they couldn't be more if they tried. They know that they were second best in that fixture at times. They're going to Paris. They got to save all their big guns. And the Premier League isn't a priority for them. So there is part of me that thinks actually going double Villa could be a great move, because Villa have everything to play for in the league right now, chasing, of course, the Champions League with the top 5. So part of me thinks going double Villa defence, but probably the sensible move is having a piece of the Arsenal defence. So Raya between the sticks with Munoz, Concert and Vardiel just feels the right combination for me. In terms of the midfield, Rodgers, Salah, Sarr and Saka. Now, a lot of people have got benching headaches this week. I don't really have that. I'm hoping we get the news that Savinho is benched, because if he is starting for Man City, it's going to be painful, because I would like to start him, but as of right now, I just don't think I can trust him for minutes or whatever. So the plan is to do Saka to Mbeumo. Super boring, but I just know I want Brian Mbeumo. And when we take a look at the fixtures coming up for them, like when we take a look at Brentford, who are right at the top there, this is going to be a Man United team that Amram's already come out and stated that he's got to rest some people. He has to in preparation for that second leg. And look, I think the tie's pretty much over, but if there was a team that are going to collapse, it would be someone like a Man United. So it's the best possible outcome for Man United, the worst possible outcome for those maybe buying in Mbeumo, because, you know, I would like to have seen Man United lose that first leg, knowing that they're going to completely rest everybody. But it is what it is. The fixture's still great, and Brentford have proved they're still a great team with that performance against Nottingham Forest. So I don't really want to overthink it. Mbeumo coming out is the one. And then after that, Ipswich away, Fulham at home, and then Wolves away. It just makes so much sense to do so. And then, of course, we've got the front three of Isak, Mateta and Marmoush. So that's really the way that I'm planning to go. I'm just going to wait to see if we get the Man City team news. That is kind of the plan right now. So kind of covered off the team. That's all the main stuff covered off. We covered off the fixtures, covered off the team. Got all that good stuff out the way. We'll cover captaincy in a minute. Let's get into the chat. Obviously, we've done the first section. Let's pick it up from, I believe we had it from Sam. I think we're going from Sam here, or Dawn. Dawn, I answered that was as good as Sam. So Sam's saying, just swap Saka for Mbeumo, but now I'm second guessing myself. Do you think I made a mistake, Sam? No, I don't think you made a mistake. I think Saka's minutes are going to be very minimal in this game. I got a sneeze coming. It's going. It'll come over. Sorry, guys. I should have warned you to maybe turn down the volume then. Apologies. So, I'm sorry. That is going to not be nice for those that maybe listen with headphones. So, no. I think Saka to Mbeumo, rightly so, is a template move, but a good template move. Liz Money, is that? Who should I select for assistant manager chip? This is a great question. So, in terms of assistant manager, first and foremost, who do I think is this a guaranteed win for you? So, I don't think that's a guaranteed win for Man City, but I don't mind it. If I had to, I would say City. I think Emery's okay. I think Moyes is good against Ipswich. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't love that, really, even though I do back Thomas Frank. Don't love that. Don't love that. Don't love that. Love that. And that is where I would go. I would go for Glasner 100%, because not only do I think Palace will win, but it's a table bonus opportunity. So if Glasner wins, you're getting the win plus 10 points. For me, that's a no-brainer. Glasner is your pick for assistant manager. Ovi, hope you're doing well. Is it Lilina? Who do I start of these? Raya Martinez from goalkeepers. Defenders, Livramento, Munoz, Concert, Milenkovic and Saliba. So, look, it all comes down to your own perspective of the Arsenal game, but I personally don't feel confident going for double Arsenal. So I would go for Raya and Saliba, probably. But of course, if you're a little bit concerned about minutes, then you could, well, I think that probably is the safest bet for minutes, would be going for Raya and Concert and benching Saliba. That would be my preference, most likely. Then I would be starting Munoz. Milenkovic, I don't think is a start. I think you could easily bench that one. I don't think you need a transfer, no. Don't love the defenders this week. Hey, Nacho, who would you say are the best midfielders under 7.5 million? Well, I haven't actually got complete clarity on who is 7.5 million and below. Like, I don't know who's on the threshold. So if we take a look right now, 7.5 million, you miss out on Jared Bowen, which is not ideal. If we take a look at the rest of the players, I mean, Eze, I could get behind, but I don't love it. I mean, if I go down this list, I'm not in love with a lot of these picks at all. At all. I think they're really bad, 6.5 and below. I mean, look, it's super boring, but if you don't have Rodgers, I still think he's great. Good fixture. And then if these both get to the Europa League final, happy days. That is an amazing fixture to have Rodgers in to end the season. So I think he is great. Outside of that, I honestly think is pretty ropey. So let me know firstly, have you got Rodgers? That's probably the question I need to ask you on that one. I would have to take a hit as I already have 3 Villa players. Scott is saying, oh, no. If that's the case, I wouldn't be doing a hit. Keep Mateta this week. Try and build up a situation where you can pivot towards Ollie Watkins in game week 37. Because as I spoke about, guys, I think Villa's great. But I prefer the last 2 games than the next 2. Because if Tottenham and Man United get to the Europa League final, that is incredible fixtures. You couldn't ask for better fixtures against Spurs and Man United. So I think that's a great spot to be in. Sell Murphy or Sarr. Well, looking at the fixtures coming up for Murphy, Brighton away is okay. Chelsea at home, I think, is okay as well. Arsenal away depends if they're still in the Champions League, and then Everton at home. If we compare Sarr's fixtures, which are here, Forest at home, I think, is okay. Spurs away, I think, is perfectly fine. A few days after the Europa League second leg. Wolves at home, and then Liverpool away to finish the season. So I think it's really close between the two. I look at them very similar type of players. I think I probably would sell Murphy before Sarr myself, but only just. Saka to Bowen, this is Matthew Perry, or KDB and Mateta. Saka to Bowen or KDB and Mateta to Vissa. Saka to Bowen would be my preference over Kevin De Bruyne because I still don't know what those minutes are going to be like. Scott's saying I can also go Savinho to Bowen. Yes, so Savinho to Bowen, I do like the move. I personally would like to sell Savinho to Bowen, and I think I can. But the priority for me is Mbeumo. And I believe that you've already got Brian Mbeumo. So if that is the case, then Savinho to Bowen, I do like that move. But I also would try to keep that opportunity to maybe go to Watkins in game week 37. Bowen will give you benching headaches. That is the one thing to note. Like, for example, if you take my team as an example, Saka and Mbeumo was just happening. But then if I was to do, then Savinho to Bowen for a -4, I then have to choose one of these to bench, which I don't love the idea of. Start 2, Murphy, Sarr or Rodgers. I would start Rodgers, and then it really is a coin flip between Murphy and Sarr. And I really think that is the case. It is a coin flip. And I probably would go for... I probably would just start Sarr. I would just start Sarr, but it's very close between the two. Very, very close. Would you start Areola instead of Raya to avoid double Arsenal defence? Well, with West Ham's fixture, of course, just to remind people, being at home against Spurs, I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. I do think West Ham are going to win that game because Spurs are just not going to play any sort of strong team, and they literally can't because of the injuries that have been accumulated. So, yes, I don't mind that at all. Chris saying, hi Nacho, is Marino to Bowen for a -4 worth it? Well, I don't think Marino will start for Arsenal, or it'll be very close. If I just take a look a minute at Jump the Wave, which is over on Twitter, it's Emma Jump the Wave. They have predictors. for each and every team. Well, majority of the teams that we care about. Apologies to those Ipswich fans out there. Now, they currently have got Marino at a 22% chance to start. So while I don't like the -4 that you're proposing, I do think it pays off because I don't think we're anticipating any game time for Marino. So yes, I would like that. Just checking to see if there's anything going on here. No. No, not much going on Twitter right now. I was just trying to see if there was any sort of team news, but nothing as of yet. Abel saying, I don't have Conser, so I'm starting Martinez and Kivior. Is he a minute's risk? No, I think Kivior will start. I do think Kivior will start. Ovi, I'm thinking to play Murphy over my rivals Mateta. Our teams are almost the same, and it's just 1 point apart now. Ovi, don't mind that tactic, but remember, we still have 4 game weeks left, so you don't have to make those incremental gains all of a sudden now. And just remember that Mateta is still a good player. It's still a good player. I wouldn't be benching people just for the sake of it because you're trying to chase mini leagues at this point. There's still weeks to go. Still plenty of weeks to go. Cavera 360. Can never pronounce that player's name. I'm glad you've only put the first part in. I've already butchered that. Thoughts on Kudos? Don't love it. Don't love it. The returns have been so inconsistent, if any. And I think you're just basically buying what you wish Bowen was in your team. Start Rodgers or Murphy. I would start Rodgers myself. Marcus saying, what about assistant manager? I would go for Glasner. He has the table bonus opportunity, which just looks so good this game week. M1, is that a motorway? Is saying Sarr and Saka -4 to bring in Mbeumo and Bowen. Okay, so look, I don't love the -4 because I do think Sarr plays and I think he's perfectly fine this game week. But over the next 4 weeks, I like the move a lot. So yes, I like the move, but I wouldn't be forcing it for a -4. And is it going to give you benching headaches? Like, who is the player that gets displaced for you taking the -4 for Bowen? Is Barnes a good midfield choice this week? Don't love it. I think every week that passes, there's more minutes risk with Gordon. Sell Diaz or Bruno for Bowen? I would sell Diaz over that. I think both are at risk of rotation this weekend. Dr. Willie saying, sold Eze to Bowen and Mateta to Vissa. Captain Bowen? I don't mind captaining Bowen. I think this Spurs team could be really rubbish against West Ham. West Ham themselves, though, have been pretty poor, but I don't mind that as a bit of a differential pick at all. All good, all good, all good, all good. Intend to transfer Saka to Mbeumo. How about Murphy or Sarr for Bowen for free too? Then yes, I do like that. Murphy to Bowen feels quite nice. Would you bring in Mbeumo if you already have Vissa? Yes, I think the double up's fantastic. If you look at the fixtures coming up here for Brentford, United at home with the Europa League second leg to contend with, great. Ipswich away, brilliant. Fulham at home, I think it's fine. And then they finish the season away against Wolves, which isn't ideal, but it's also not terrible. Not terrible. Avo saying, is captaining Watkins a good captaincy? Don't mind it at all. Now, of course, Aston Villa at home against Fulham. It's not the best fixture, but if you're looking for a great differential, I don't think they come much better than Watkins, mate. Frank, is it worth a -4 for Mbeumo and Bowen? In for Rashford and Saka. Oof, yes, I think that's a good move because Saka out to Mbeumo I love, but you're also selling Rashford who's potentially out for the season. So even though it is for a -4, I do like that move. Dylan, where would you place Flecken on your goalkeeper rating? Well, Brentford are right up there for fixtures, so I do like him as a pick. Do I like Brentford defensively? Not really. But with the fixtures coming up, I wouldn't be surprised to potentially see 2 clean sheets out of the next 4. Like, who would I have over that? Well, I think Pickford for 35 and 37 is great, but I don't see clean sheets either side of that. I don't see many better than Flecken, to be honest with you, between now and the end of the season. OP Talent saying, if Saka and Mbeumo bench one of Eze, Sarr, Rodgers, or Mateta, or bench Saka and roll. So I'm kind of in a similar-ish boat to yourself. I don't have the Eze and Sarr combination, but I would bench one of Eze or Sarr. I don't really know his status on Eze. I think he's fine. I personally would always bench Sarr over Eze. So I think I would just go for that. Would you do Saka and Savinho to Bowen and Mbeumo for free? Yes, I would. Avo, what's the point of watching your live stream if you're not going to reply to subscribers? Questions like Gianni. Awkward. I think I have the last 10 minutes. So maybe a fair comment. I think I've been answering questions though, Avo. So apologies if you feel that way. But I feel like I've been answering questions for quite a bit. I'm 1974 saying Marino, Sarr and Murphy. Bench one, currently Murphy. So, like I said, go check out Jump the Wave over on Twitter. It's called Emma, the username at Jump the Wave. They've got predictors and they've currently got Marino a 22% chance of starting. So based on that, I probably would bench Marino. Would you do Savinho Bowen for free in addition to Saka? And yes, I like that move. Of course, we might get some Man City early team news before the deadline, so you could wait until the deadline to find out regarding Savinho. However, if Savinho is benched, I would absolutely make that move. Marco, who to go for assistant manager? I've covered that one off. It would be Glasner. Covered that one off. I'm going to not repeat some that are similar because hopefully I've covered them off. 87 points up to work league leader. Okay. How do I claw that back in the last 4 game weeks? No chips. Okay. So look, we're looking at 20 points a week, which I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but that is going to be tough. So, Stian, put your team in the chat. We're going to need a little bit of context on who you own first and foremost. Matthew, do you think Bradley starts? Yeah. I think Bradley probably does start, to be honest with you. Slots come out and stated that he's got to make some changes. Not wholesale changes, but changes nonetheless. I'll be surprised if... I'll be very surprised if Bradley doesn't start. Thoughts on Saka and Murphy to Bowen and Mbeumo? If it's for free, love it. Is it worth getting in Mbeumo for Salah or KDB? Can't get him in any other way. So, I would not do it for Salah. I wouldn't do it for Salah because it's Salah. It's Salah. However, if you're chasing mini leagues, you can go there. KDB is a difficult one because if we get the news that he's benched this week, people are going to sell him. But then they got Southampton away the following game week, which is fantastic. And then Bournemouth at home in 37, which KDB will definitely play because it could be it is going to be his last game at the Etihad. So he's definitely going to play that. And then they got Fulham away, which I don't think is amazing. So, I mean, if I had to pick one, it would be De Bruyne. But if we get news that he's starting, I probably wouldn't sell him. Who is the best Everton defender excluding Pickford? It probably would be Mykolenko because he's a little bit cheaper than everybody else. But people are also going for O'Brien because he's going to play centre-back and he might be okay for bonus. I don't know yet. Should I get Mbeumo and Bowen for Fernandes and Marino? Yes, I like that. Bruno will always do the business throughout the season. But if they get through to the Europa League final, which we can only anticipate they will, then I'm going to be honest. I'm looking at Man United's fixtures and I'm looking at everything here. I think Man United will finish the season very indifferent. They're going to be rotated against Brentford. West Ham's a couple of days after the second leg. Then, if they get to the Europa League final, that is going to be very close to the Chelsea fixture, possibly. And then they got, obviously, Villa on the last day, who are going to be fighting for top 5. So, I think that's fine, those moves. I think that's perfectly fine. Now, I thought it might be handy just to show you a little bit of a graphic here for Saka replacements if you're looking to go there. I don't think you have to overthink it. It is Mbeumo or Bowen to go there. I thought this might be just a little bit of a easier, kind of condensed version little bit of a condensed version of what to go here. So basically, keynotes, the reason why Saka is being sold is because they're going to rotate against Bournemouth 100%. Mbeumo plays Man United between the Europa League games, which is huge. But the only downside about Mbeumo is that they played last night. So it's not like this is a fresh Brentford team up against them. So don't be surprised if we don't get the huge returns that everybody's anticipating. And Bowen plays Spurs between the EFL legs and also Man United 3 days after the second leg. So it's great for both of those. If I had a priority though, I probably still would go for Mbeumo. But I think Bowen is fantastic this week. Start Mateta or Sarr, I would go for Mateta myself. If we find out Savinho starts, does it change anything for you? No. So look, let's get up FPL.team a minute. So my team is looking like this as of now. Now the plan is to sell Saka for Mbeumo, and my team will look like this: 3.8 million in the bank. If all of a sudden Savinho, the news comes out and he is starting, I would look at my team and say to myself, is there anybody that I confidently would like to bench? And I think the only one that I'll be tempted to do is Sarr. So I think that is a consideration for me, is potentially starting Savinho over Sarr. Maybe Forest play a bit more of a low block against Palace and they kind of nullify one another. That definitely could be a temptation. I haven't ruled that out at all in terms of starting that team. So that is very tempting. I'm going to be honest. Game week 36 and beyond, I'm not getting too ahead of ourselves just because we might get some sort of double announcement regarding Spurs and Villa if they do agree on a date, but I doubt it. But just to show you what my team will look like for game week 36. So I probably will roll out my team looking like this, I think. I think my team will look like this. But I have, of course, got a transfer and Forest play against Leicester. So that will be a very, very tempting move. And then in game week 37, the team will look like this, which, again, looks fine. But I would love to bring in Ollie Watkins. But unfortunately, because I'm tripled up on Villa, I would have to really pivot my team and make a defensive transfer, which I don't really love the idea of. So that is the one downside of going for triple Villa, which is not great. And then, of course, in game week 38, I mean, I would love to chase the upside of some of these players, but we'll see how we land in game week 38 when we get there. But yes, Savinho is a player that I'm hoping gets benched, so it just kind of resolves any sort of benching headache for me. But as I said, I am going to make the Saka to Mbeumo move. I don't really have any other directions I can go with my team. I mean, if we look at the only other person that really can get sold is Savinho, and I keep Saka if they were to get knocked out of the Champions League. But if they don't get knocked out, then I'm a bit like, ugh, why have I still got him? So if I sell Savinho, I've got 7.7 million in the bank, who, I mean, I can get Jarrod Bowen, which is great. I think he's fantastic for the next few weeks. However, I don't have Mbeumo. So the only way I could go there is if I do Saka out for Mbeumo for a -4, and I go down that route. And then I do Bowen in, and the team looks like this for game week, for that game week, just to show you what that would look like in context to everything else. That would look like, where's Bowen at? It would look like this, which looks strong for a -4. And then in game week 36, we would go to something like that. It looks strong. But no, I'm looking just to do the move that I mentioned previously. Right, let's get back to some of the chat a minute. De Bruyne in for Palmer. I don't love it. Unless we get the news that De Bruyne's starting, and then even then I'll be a little bit concerned for the future. Start Ruben. Conser versus Saliba. I personally am looking to do one Arsenal, one Villa. So if you're in a similar boat to me, then that probably answers it. Start Ruben or Kivior. Ruben would be for me. My transfer plan, Sam, is the boring one, Saka to Mbeumo, but I just think it makes a lot of sense for a lot of managers, including myself. Super Z saying, hi, I really need to catch up to my mini league rivals. Would you recommend getting in Bowen for Salah as a differential? I can never get behind selling Mo Salah, especially somebody like him who is so driven. I don't see him checking out for the end of the season. So it is a real differential that could pay off, but I wouldn't do it myself. I would find other ways of catching up. Amy's saying, play 3 from Kivior, Livramento, Vardy, Alconsa, Munoz, and in goal Martinez or Raya. So I probably would go for Raya and Consa as your double up, and then I would go for Vardy or Munoz. That would be easy. Livramento benched, Kivior benched, Martinez benched. Vardy captain, Adam. Look, I spoke about this previously, how he could be an amazing differential captain. But no, I think there are too many other good picks. It's a weird week where I don't love the fixtures, but I do feel like there are better picks than Vardy. I would just go for Marmoush over Vardy myself. Murphy de Boven -4. I just don't like a -4 personally. Would I bench boost Sells away against Palace, Mateta against Forest, Livramento and Kirkes, or sort out any doubts first? I wouldn't do that myself. Play Szoboszlai or sell to Rodgers. No idea whether Szoboszlai plays. I would be saying to yourself, can you get to Mbeumo? Can you get to Bowen? If you can't get to either, I think Rodgers is still a good buy. Start O'Brien or Consa. I would go O'Brien. I love the Everton game. I think that's a great fixture. See, we've got a super chat here from Zach. Very much appreciated, Zach. Isak to Watkins is differential. Isak's form. Well, we look at Isak's returns here. They haven't been phenomenal. And we've kind of spoken about Ollie Watkins. Now, if we get him up on here a minute. Obviously, his minutes have been very indifferent. But it now looks like Rashford could be out for the season. So Watkins is going to play down the middle. We're almost certain of it. And when we look at his numbers when he plays, they're good. Not so good here, but I think we know what we get with Ollie Watkins. He's fantastic. And with the fixtures coming up, I think that's decent enough. I think that's fine. And then, as I've mentioned already, we could have a situation where Spurs and Man United are in the Europa League final. And that's huge because the Europa League final is on the 21st of May. So Villa are going to play Spurs 3 days before the Europa League final. Amazing. And then they're going to play Man United 4 days after the Europa League. So the dream scenario would be both get to the final. Villa have an incredible game against Spurs, which that could be huge score. And then the upside would be Man United win the Europa League final, meaning bit hungover, let's be honest, nothing to do with the Premier League at all. And they play a second string team against Aston Villa. They could, because it's a home game, say to themselves, you know what, play the big guns. We've got to finish the season strong. But they ain't going to finish the season strong against Aston Villa, are they? Off the back of a Europa League final? No chance. So yes, I do like that as a differential move. Isak, on the other hand, in terms of fixtures, for those that are considering it, I think this is fine. Brighton have conceded 8 goals in their last 3 games, 2 of those against Leicester, so I think that's a good fixture. And this is always a good fixture for Newcastle. I think they definitely have got an opportunity to put a few goals into Chelsea. I'm a Chelsea fan. We're still ropey defensively. We will give up opportunities against Newcastle 100%. And I always look at Isak and think he is a big game player at times. Yes, he didn't do it here, but I still think he's a big game player. And then, of course, Arsenal away to finish of Everton. So I think Isak to Watkins is a fantastic move if you're happy to part ways with Isak. I still think Isak offers great value in the game. And I see a lot of people voted in the captaincy poll. There are 325 votes. 55% are going for Mbeumo and 24% are going for Marmoush, which is very interesting. Now, this is the only problem with the game. Is that you buy Bowen and Mbeumo and you don't want to do anything. And a lot of people are going to be in the same boat here, where basically what's going to happen is Mbeumo is going to be over 100% owned. Marmoush is going to be over 100% owned. and you basically have bought Embuemo just to be really, really safe. And that sucks. That really sucks. But unfortunately, that's just what's happening this game week. It was similar with Saka last week. If we cast our minds back to game week 34, game week 33, in this double, I didn't captain Saka. So I was just hoping, even though I bought him, that he was going to blank. So I do think for those managers that are trying to chase rank and you're happy to take the risk, just remember that if you buy Embuemo this week but don't captain him, you want him to blank, which sucks. So then you're in a position where if you're really chasing rank, why don't you just go all out and not buy Embuemo and buy Jarrod Bowen? Something to consider. Something absolutely to consider. But yes, I do think that is going to be a bit of a problem for managers out there. Just seeing if there's any moves right now on here. But I don't see any Man City team leaks at all. And it is very early, guys. I don't see that happening anytime at all in terms of the early team leaks. So keep putting your stuff in the chat, guys. We'll keep answering it up until around just about 6 o'clock or so. 6 something. Just want to see if there's any team news. I can't see any. I doubt there's going to be any sort of team news right now at all. Right, let's get back into the chat, see what is going on. So start Kluivert or Sarr. I probably would go for Kluivert on penalties. Buying Brian for either Timber or Munoz. I would sell Timber because I think Arsenal are very hard to predict now. Start Semenyo over Mateta. I still probably would just start Mateta. Saliba to Vardy out and Saka to Embuemo. Yeah, I can get behind those moves. I don't think Saliba's got huge value over the next few weeks. Bench boost Verbruggen. So just a quick recap. Verbruggen at home against Newcastle. Would I be surprised if Brighton won that 3-0? I'm just going to put it out in the atmosphere. I wouldn't be surprised if Brighton beat Newcastle 3-0 randomly. Like, it just feels like a weird scoreline in my head. I'm going to clip that. And come back to it. Livramento, not ideal. Bradley, I think he does play. But away against Chelsea, we're crap. But I think we probably do nick a goal. And then Mateta, Matthew, I think my biggest advice would be get yourself over to fpl.team, put in your team ID, run through the next 4 weeks and see if there's any other week that looks better. So like, for example, my team, if we were just to make the one transfer that we're intending, let me reset this a minute. If I was to do the Saka to Embuemo move, like if I had a bench boost available, I would actually build my team how I would plan it. So it would look like this. And I'll say to myself, is that bench boostable? And I'd probably say, that actually is kind of bench boostable this week, but not incredible. Game week 36, I would be saying to myself, well, what would my team actually look like? It probably would look like this because I wouldn't trust Savinho's minutes. And I'd say that's not too bad. The thing I would say about bench boost is you want to try and optimize it. And if you leave it for a few weeks, you can take a bit of a risk, obviously, from injuries, but you can use transfers to build a great bench boost. Which is important. I feel like I'm going to make my transfer, guys, because I'm trying to think to myself, if we get the news that Savinho is starting, is there any world where I don't own Embuemo? And the answer is no. Like, if I get the news Savinho starts, I'll do this. But do I still feel comfortable not owning Embuemo this week against Man United? I don't at all. So, for that reason, I think I'm just happy to sell Saka. I think his game time is going to be very ropey. I don't want him for 36. And we can reassess later on. So, it's very boring. Maybe I'll wait till 6 o'clock. Let's give it a little bit. Hi from Belgium, Jerome. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Thoughts on Doku? Such a purple patch player. You got to catch him literally in the one game week that he explodes. Like, let's take a look at him this season. I bet you anything he's had like 2 phenomenal game weeks and crap throughout. So nothing, 12, nothing, 13, nothing, literally nothing. And we all know he had that incredible week in game week. I don't know what game week it was in the 23-24 season, where he just went off and got all his returns in one game, basically. So he is one of those players. It's like the stock market at times. Try to time the market. You just can't do it. You can't do it. What do I think about Bowen and Mbeumo for a -4? Don't love it, but selling a player for a -4 who's injured like a Rashford, I can get behind. Who would I bench? Rodgers, Bowen, and Mbeumo, Sarr. We'll just forget about Bowen and Mbeumo. I'd bench Sarr. Livramento or Canate to Vardy or buy an Everton defender. Well, I probably would sell Canate because I just don't think I can predict his minutes now between now and the end of the season. So I do think Canate to Vardy makes a lot of sense. Mateus is saying best pick instead of Savinho. I got 8.9 million, but I have to buy Pep as assistant manager. I already have Mbeumo, Murphy, Sarr, and Salah. Then I think it's easy. The answer will be Jared Bowen. If those that are looking for outside picks, okay, because I get it, a lot of people are pushing the same players in Mbeumo and Bowen. Let's take a look at this incredible designed graphic that I have added here. This is from Fantasy Football Fix, by the way. How awful I have butchered it with my own section. This is basically like what teams have got going on right now. So, if I was trying to buy someone outside of Mbeumo, outside of Jared Bowen, where would I go? Everton, nobody. There's no midfielder in the game. Brentford, no midfielder outside of Mbeumo. Man City, nobody that we can trust. West Ham, Bowen. Nottingham Forest, no one in that midfield. Spurs, nobody. Bournemouth, meh. I would happily just wait till 38 for Bournemouth, to be honest with you. Arsenal, no one. United, nobody. Villa, Rodgers, and that's it. Wolves, there's no midfielder in the game. Palace, a lot of people already got triple Palace. Chelsea, anyone's guess. Liverpool, no. Nobody knows who's going to play each and every week. And then Newcastle, where I don't really want to buy now. So it's why, naturally, everybody's going to Mbeumo and Bowen. And it's why, even though it's very template, I would like to hear some people's opinions on who else there is, because there isn't really much else, unfortunately. Unfortunately, there isn't. Right. Bench one of Savinho or Sarr or Mateta. If we get the news that Savinho is starting, I personally am going to be very tempted to do, if you imagine Saka's in Mbeumo, that. And going for that sort of combination if Savinho is starting. Otherwise, I'm going to bench him. By the way, for those who are asking, if we don't get Man City news, I'm benching Savinho personally. Start Flecking or Henderson this week? I mean, I think they both could keep clean sheets, but I'm probably going to say Flecken because United literally have nothing to play for, whereas, you know, Forest have something to play for. Top 5, there's motivation in that team. So I'm going to say Flecken. Best assistant manager, and you already have 3 Palace, Villa, and City. So you can't get Pep, you can't get Glasgow, you can't get Emery. Ugh. Wow. Then it would have to be David Moyes. It really would have to be David Moyes, I think. Saka to KDB. If you get the news he starts, then yes, but I don't love it. Start Murphy or Rodgers. I would start Rodgers. CL Fan, my man, who would do well. Start Mateta or Murphy. I'm a Mateta man, so I would go there. Nagy's saying I have Delap and Beto. Who do captain? Nagy, what are you doing? Captain? I I can't get behind that. Now, Beto's minutes. What are we saying? I thought they'd been ropey. They've been a little bit ropey over this period. So the answer would be Beto, because he's got the better fixture. But I know Delap's going to play. But my question to you is, how bad's your team if you're captaining those two? What's going on, Nagy? What to do with assistant manager? Glasner every day of the week. Timber or Trippier? I would start Trippier because I don't even know if Timber's going to play. Covered that one. Timber, Cucurella, Livramento, Williams, Munoz. Who should I start? I would start... I think they're all bad, by the way. Munoz, Cucurella, Timber. And if Timber doesn't play, I'd anticipate him not to come off the bench. Would Bowen captaincy? Is Bowen off penalties? I know Paqueta's been taking them, but is Bowen officially not on them? It wouldn't put me off, but I usually do like going for a captain that has penalties. You don't want to go with Buemo because he's a United fan. That's fair. I guess then you don't want to go for Marmoush because they're rivals. So it's Isak versus Bowen. Probably for Bowen. Bench Kivior, Concert or Burn. Vissa and KDB for Mateta and Salah. I don't like the Salah sell. If anybody in that Liverpool team is still going to be motivated, it's going to be Mo Salah because he's bloody mental. And the bloke is kind of like a Ronaldo, to be honest with you. Very, very driven. Basically, like I wouldn't be surprised at all if Salah remains still top bracket. He's one of the few that I don't think would just go off the rails and kind of be like, we won the league, let's not do anything else. And guys, by the way, I haven't actually asked or stream. If you could drop a like, massively appreciated. And we're close to 20.6. So if there are 9 of you watching this, enjoying it, think to yourself, you know what? I know the season's over and this guy's going to be redundant all summer. If you could just hit that subscribe button, it's always massively appreciated. We've really hit our goal, by the way. I was aiming for 20k between now and the end. At the end of the season, we've hit that, which is sick. Unless 500 of you decide to unsubscribe and all, which, you know, I'd kind of respect it in a way. But if there are 9 of you watching thinking, you know what, it's Friday, it's bank holiday, let's dish out some free love, then I would love that. So thank you. And for those that have been always on these streams, massive shout out to you guys because you have been through the thick and thin with these live streams, big time. And hopefully we can finish the season strong. Hopefully we finish. For those that are asking about like my ranking stuff, I mean nobody's been asking, but let's just say it anyway. Tumultuous. I can't even say the word. Tumultuous. I can't say it. Up and down, roller coaster. We've had highs. I mean, the season started bad, real bad, and then we just had a sensational game week. Where was it? Here. So the game week rank here was 266k, and it got me from 1 mil to basically 0.5 mil. Brilliant. And then we've had great weeks, and then we had some bad weeks. But since the wildcard 30, where we were 140k basically, it's been good. It's been good. Like, I mean, the game week ranks 135k, 430k, 1.1 mil, 272k. I mean, they've been good. So let's hope we finish the season strong. In terms of my rank history over the last few seasons, I mean, let's just ignore, like, basically this. Because that was when pre-content, they all say it, but it's kind of true. So, for those that ask, last season 56k, let's hope we can beat that. Season before 46k, and then we got the big dog season, 270th in the world. Typically wasn't doing YouTube around then. Typical. And then 8,900, and then 71k, 100k, 94k. So look, you can believe me if you want, but 1.6 mil was when I was not taking it serious. But it's been okay. Could be better. Could be better. If we can get a top 30k, top 40k, that would be okay this season. That would be okay this season. Right. Marmoush or Isak captain. I can only advise what I've got on my screen, and that is Marmoush right now. But as Gandhi once said, don't back the early kickoff. You going to buy Mbeumo? Yes, I am going to buy Mbeumo for Saka. Kind of holding off for some Man City news, but like I said, what's actually going to happen? Like if we get the news that Savinho starts or is bench, is that going to change anything for me? Not really. Not really. Savinho starts. I mean, I haven't seen that, so I don't know where that's coming from in terms of the Savinho start. Have I missed something there, maybe? Nothing on Twitter. Savinho and Saka for Mbeumo Bowen for free. Love it. Like those moves. Dino, best game week to free hit because I missed game week 34. Now, this is tricky because you kind of got to look at the weeks and ask yourself, when is their like killer game week? So don't do it in 35 because the fixtures are just ropey as anything. So if you look at game week 36, you could get triple Man City away against Southampton. Fantastic. You could get triple Forest at home against Leicester. So you could go double defence and Chris Wood. Great. You could get Mbeumo and Vissa away against Ipswich. Fantastic. And you could jump back on Cunha and all for Brighton at home. So I think game week 36 has to be a consideration. Game week 37, remember, this is going to be impacted by the Europa League final. So I think Villa then become brilliant against Spurs. I think Chelsea become good if you want to go there. But I think 36 is going to definitely be one to consider for a free hit. Sell Saliba, yes, I don't mind that at all if you want to. I just look at Arsenal's fixtures and think, where are they? Where are Arsenal? Here, yeah, they're meh, aren't they, really? Giovanni, there's no room for team fan beliefs in fantasy. Agree. I do agree on that. But you also have to put in some of your own narrative and opinions on the decision making. If I have an assistant manager, who should I put in? Glasner. Start Livramento or Williams. Both a little bit meh. I probably would start Livramento, but I don't like either. Marmoush or Isak captain. I'm going for Marmoush as we speak. Nothing on Savinho, guys, for those that are asking. Start Eze or Mateta. I probably would start just Eze, just. Chaz saying, I'm assuming you feel Mbeumo outscores Bowen this week. So, I don't know if he outscores him this week. And the big question is, do I think he outscores Bowen over the next two? And I think he probably does. Just. But you got to remember that West Ham game away against Man United is good. Because it's a few days after the Europa League second leg. I just don't trust West Ham right now. Whenever I look at West Ham fans' posts, they're all like, this is crap. We don't really like Potter. We don't like the football that he's playing. Whereas I know with Brentford, like, I know what I'm getting. Like, I know exactly what I'm getting from him. So, for me, it's Mbeumo. It is Mbeumo. Just making sure I've answered this one quickly. Okay. Oh, let me put up my team again, guys, by the way. I am going to make my transfer pretty soon, so I just don't think anything's really going to change, to be honest with you. Amara Gamer saying, best assistant manager. I have triple Arsenal, so you can't go Arteta, which is fine. Palace, can't go Glasner, which is a bit frustrating. Man City. I'd have 2 transfers, or do I delay for next week? Flash scores have the City lineup and Savinho starts. I doubt that's accurate. Look, assistant manager, I think you could possibly go for like David Moyes this week. You could keep David Moyes if you want to. You could do David Moyes for the next 3, really. Would I sell somebody for Glasner with 2 free transfers? Look, if you haven't got, for example, if you haven't got an Mbeumo or a Bowen, you could sell a Palace midfielder for Bowen or Mbeumo and then use the assistant manager. That has to be a consideration this week. Cody's saying about Bowen captain. I don't mind it. But I prefer Marmoush. I prefer Mbeumo. Bowen would probably be 3rd on my list. Who should I captain? Salah, Marmoush, Bowen, and Mbeumo. Again, I'm not bullish on Salah, but would I be surprised if he rocked up and scored against Chelsea and maybe even braced? Not at all, because Chelsea are just very, very flaky. But I can only go with what I've got on my screens right now, and I would have Marmoush number 1. Maybe controversially. Had the feeling KDB will run riot against Wolves at home. Don't have any Brentford players. Have KDB, Sarr, Salah, Murphy, Rodgers in midfield. Would you consider selling KDB for Mbeumo? Andy, I think that's it, really. If we get the news that he's starting, and you got a gut feeling that he's going to run riot, don't let the herd mentality convince you not to. I think it's perfectly fine. Shane, I'd be shocked if Marmoush doesn't start, because it sounds like Haaland isn't close to being involved. So I think Marmoush is all good for minutes. I'll be astonished if he isn't, really. Who should have started? Rodgers and Mateta? That's really close. Really close. It probably would lean towards Mateta myself. But that's tight. -4 worth it for Vissa. Who are you selling is the question there. Do you know if Robinson is or will start? It sounds like he's back available for selection. Will he start, though? After Sessegnon played at left back? I don't know. Would you sell Luis Diaz for De Bruyne? Well, firstly, I probably would sell Luis Diaz. I think his minutes are very unpredictable now. But I probably would say to myself, do I have Mbeumo? Yes or no? Then I would ask myself, do I have Bowen? Yes or no? And then I'd probably be considering a De Bruyne. Do I take a hit? Do I take a hit for Mbeumo and Bowen in and Cole and Murphy or Luis Diaz out? Well, if I had to sell him, I think Cole Palmer probably is a sell now, unfortunately. Do I like the moves for a -4? Not really. I'd prioritise Mbeumo first and foremost. Do I think Ndai starts? Yeah, I'll be shocked if Ndai doesn't start. Selling Mateta for Vissa for a -4, worth it? It could be worth it, but also I could see Mateta getting a goal. So for a -4, will it pay off over the next 2? Probably. For this game week, no. Well, not considerably enough. Start Kivy or Saliba? Probably Saliba. Sarr or Rodgers this week? I would start Rodgers. Chasing Champions League football. Rodgers is Mr. Consistent for minutes. I probably would go for Rodgers myself. Shane saying, want to give you a tip, end of season, mate. Where's best to pay? Shane, do not worry about it, my friend. Please keep that. Times are tough. Times are tough right now. I just appreciate you guys being on the stream, more importantly. So the biggest tip you can give is just come back next season, mate. Honestly, that is it. Don't worry about stuff like that, brother. The biggest tip is just obviously dropping by next season. It'd be great to see you again next year, mate. Be great to see you next season. Murphy or Eze to start. Murphy or Eze to start would be Eze. Eze for me. Caleb, should I take a -4 to get Glasner in? Who are you selling? Let me know who you're selling. Why Saliba? Is that to start? Then it probably would be... Why Saliba? I just think he's key and he gets majority minutes. I think you could make the argument of both being obviously a bit of a rotation risk. Who get in for Saliba? Sorry, was an ad. Who'd I get in for Saliba? To buy? Then I don't really know, to be honest with you. Who'd I get in for Saliba? Sorry. It's tricky, that one. If I was looking to buy a defender right now, I think Man City are good. I think Man City are a good buy. I think Vardy is good. I think Ruben Diaz is good. Otherwise, you could go all the way down to Everton and pick up an O'Brien or a Mikalenko and get that kind of direction. Is there Man City news? Nothing right now. I will check it out. Shane, I see you're still saying about that, mate. Honestly, massively appreciate it, but do not worry about it at all. I just appreciate you being on these streams, my friend. Cedric saying hi. Isak and Murphy to Vissa and De Bruyne. Isak and Murphy to Vissa and De Bruyne. From -4 captain De Bruyne. Sandri, it could pay off. It could. But I just don't love it myself. I don't love selling Isak at all. It's Rain saying, Mbeumo Bowen in 1.5 million back, worth a -4, rare to pick for to fund Pep as a smash. Yes, I don't mind that, but I would say to you, I think Glasner is still my #1 pick. Who'd you pick as manager? Glasner will be my #1. Then I'll be looking at Pep if you don't have triple Man City. JC3 saying Raya and Konsa or Martinez and Saliba love the videos. Okay, so I personally don't think Saliba is like a huge threat from set pieces, and I think Saliba probably still plays. But I think Raya and Konsa, I just don't see a scenario how they both don't play. And I don't think Martinez and Saliba offer much more than those two. So I would go for Raya and Konsa myself if you're looking for safe minutes. Konsa or Saliba, I would say, personally, I think double Arsenal is fine. But do I think their priority is on PSG? Yes. And do I think Bournemouth are good offensively? Yes. So I would go for one of each. Villa and that. Who would you captain? Would you captain Mbeumo if you had him in? He is going to come in, and I do think he's a great pick. I'm just currently leaning towards Marmoush. I think it's just because Brentford played last night. That is my only worry. Gordon says, season is ending. Thanks for everything. Be tuning in every time since go. Gordon, don't worry. I've seen you in the streams, my friend, and I do massively appreciate it, mate. And yeah, I think I'm going to enjoy a little bit of the downtime, but before you know it, fixtures will be released. Game will be dropping. So I do always love the downtime just because you blink and you're like, oh my God, it's already coming back. And sometimes it can be quicker than anticipated. Right, I'm going to do another couple of minutes and then I'm unfortunately going to have to wrap it up. So we'll go till 10 past. So, Linus going to answer this one so you don't keep spamming the chat. Best goalkeeper for the last game week? I mean, for the last game week, it'll be Raya because they got Southampton away. Otherwise, be Kepa at home against Leicester would probably be my anticipation. Anticipation, that's the wrong word, bloody hell. Got it. Then Burn to Diaz, maybe? Yes, I like Burn to Diaz myself. Am I starting Savinho? If I don't get the news that he's starting, then I will start Sarr. So let's just lock this in right now. This is my bust team, but I am going to do Saka to Mbeumo in the next few minutes. So when I wrap up the stream, guys, if I haven't made a move, the plan will be to sell. The plan will be to sell Saka for Mbeumo. Drop one, Bowen, Sarr, Rogers, Mateta, bro. It will be Sarr out of that lot. Andrew, please help me. Who would you start, Diaz or Kivior? Diaz every day of the week. Will Timber play? Unfortunately, mate, I don't know on that one, unfortunately. I do apologise. I'm just going to look on Twitter a minute, see if there's anything out there. But I can't see much. I cannot see much. Who'd you bench out of Munoz, Saliba, Vardy if you had Ortega in goal? Who would you bench out of Munoz, Saliba and Vardy if you were ready? Well, I would double up on the Man City defence probably. So I probably would bench, controversially, Saliba maybe. Kaleem saying, should I take a -4 to get Glasner in? I would have to downgrade one of my keepers, have Rea Martinez and only one. If taking a -4, I do think it would pay off because I think Glasner is quite good for this game week. Jemima Unicorn, I hope you're doing well. Why concert ahead of Livramento? I just prefer the fixture, to be honest with you. I think Brighton are always good for a goal. And that's it, really. That's the only reason, to be honest with you. 1 free transfer, Mateta to Ndai, Rashford to Mbeumo -4. Whew. Okay, look. Ndai could be a masterstroke. I just don't love it. So I would just focus on the Rashford to Mbeumo move myself, unless you can't afford it, obviously, which I assume that's why you've said about that. Bring in Vissa or Wood. Ooh, mamma mia. I mean, looking at the fixtures, very difficult to judge because they each have great fixtures in isolation. I probably would go for Vissa. Love Vissa. He was my MVP for so much of this season, but unfortunately I got rid of him. Drop 1. Bowen, Sarr, Rodgers, and Mateta. I've covered that one, mate. When used bench boost, that's team specific to bias, unfortunately. Saliba, Trippier, Munoz, and Konsa start 2. Ugh. I think after that haul of Trippier, you kind of have to start him this week. Right, I apologise, guys. I do have to dash. I'm so sorry, I've run over as it is. I am gonna do Saka to Mbeumo. Let's just get it done on the stream. One last check of Twitter, see if anything's going on. And I mean, I can't see anything. So let's get this done on stream. Let's do it on stream. How exciting. How exciting. Saka out. Saka out and Saka out, Neto in. Of course not. Of course not Neto. Come on, Mbeumo. Transfers. Saka out, departing the team. Thank you for your 1 game week and your 1 point in Mbeumo. Done. Teams in, vice captain on Mbeumo, captain on Marmouche. Hoping for goals tonight. Hoping for goals. So, guys, that's going to be the team. If we get news that Savinho starting, I will probably take Sarr out and I will put Savinho in. Otherwise, we are locked in. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Massively appreciated as always. Have we hit the subscriber goal? Drumroll, please. We have. Thank you so much, guys. Massively appreciated. You guys are legends. Right, I gotta go. Thanks so much. This is the team. We are locked in. Unless Savinho starts, then I probably will start him over Sarr. Thank you, guys. Take care. Have a great week, and I'll see you real soon. Cheerio, guys. Bye.